Hello, weary travelers, and welcome back to my first impressions of One Piece series. I will finally be wrapping up the Water 7 saga today with the Post-Enies Lobby arc. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video, which I think is refreshing since the last handful of One Piece videos I've made have been more than half an hour each. There was a hell of a lot to say in my Enies Lobby video, and I didn't want the story of this arc to get lost in the mix by being the last 10 minutes of a 45-minute video, because I think this arc really sets up a lot of interesting threads for the future. We'll get to all that, but first, I want to say hello to anyone who is new out there. I'm Denny, and this is my series where I watch One Piece for the first time and offer my first impressions. And to anyone old and crusty out there, hey, how are you doing? Are your friends well? You crack me up. But let's get down to biz. Some quick housekeeping. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I recommend checking those out first to give you full context on my opinion of the story so far. Also, since this is a shorter video, I figured this would be the best time for me to give all you One Piece lovers a little channel update at the end, so be sure to stick around if you're interested. With all that out of the way, let's sail on. The Post-Enies Lobby arc begins right where we left off, with the crew all reunited and sailing on the Going Merry back to Water 7. Pretty quickly, they run into Iceberg and Galila on the way, and just as they do, the deck of the Going Merry snaps in half. Her time has finally come. We get a nice flashback showing Iceberg repairing the Merry enough so that she could sail out and save everyone, and then it's time to say farewell. Despite everything I said in my prior video, I think this is a really powerful and emotional scene, and I'm impressed with the emphasis on giving the Merry a proper send-off in this entire saga. Everyone gets to say their goodbyes and be together in this moment, but I'm kind of torn on Usopp remaining in disguise this whole time. Obviously, everyone but Chopper and Luffy know Soja King is Usopp, but I think it was a bit cruel of Usopp to remain hidden during this really personal moment for the entire crew. I can only imagine Luffy and Chopper really missing Usopp during this time, and it was kind of incredibly selfish of him to remain masked, but I imagine logistically this was done to drag out the Soja King joke into future arcs. I do think Usopp gets a good moment during this, telling Zoro that he recognizes some things have to come to an end, and this is a fitting send-off for the Merry, and then, of course, he's gushing tears by the end. I didn't hate his involvement, it just left a little something to be desired for me. Overall though, a tear-jerking goodbye with some sad music to really getcha. When we arrive back at Water 7, we finally get the reveal of what Franky spent the 200 million berries he stole from the Straw Hats on, the money that kickstarted everything that unfolded, and it was this super, mega, terrific, awesome piece of wood from a big-ass tree. And he wants to build them a new ship? Hell yeah. This again adds to Franky's connection with Tom and a kind of repeating history between Tom and his apprentices, as even Iceberg joins Franky to build this new ship for the future King of the Pirates. These two brothers are finally united again in a mission just like Tom once undertook before them. Not much more to say other than I think this was the perfect way to reconcile the Franky and Iceberg relationship and put a nice bow on the Tom's Workers storyline. Threats are still out there though, and Zoro has got to warn everyone. The Marines are at Water 7, and Zoro rushes through town to warn the Straw Hats, only for it to be revealed that this is another he's lost gag. They hold the frame of Zoro running back toward town after realizing he's lost, and then he runs right back into the frame, lost again. Holy fucking shit, it was so good. On a more serious note, we get some really intriguing backstory on Luffy's family. Vice Admiral Garp, the man we saw training Kobe way back, is Luffy's grandfather, and the world's most heinous criminal, the revolutionary Monkey D. Dragon, is Luffy's father. Thank God no one is Gold Roger. I really enjoyed the characterization of Garp, and I think his dynamic with Luffy is fun. It also kind of explains why Luffy was so tough and dedicated from the jump, since he'd been trained hard by Garp as a child. We also get to see Kobe grown up, and okay, I can see what people were talking about in my very first video where I complained about Kobe. He definitely shows some interesting narrative potential in this arc with his promise to one day become an admiral and catch Luffy. I mean, the kid already knows Shave, which means he's on his way to becoming a 6 powers master like the CP9 agents. That's a huge power boost in a short time. And he's not super annoying here, which is refreshing. During this section, Garp essentially serves as a walking, talking, foreshadowing machine. Within one conversation, he mentions that Shanks is one of the 4 emperors who rule the New World, which is like the back half of the Grand Line, I guess. And of course, he name drops Dragon. This whole arc is a lot of world building and setup. It really expands on things we've wanted to know since the start, but also raises way more questions with very few answers. One of the big answers that we do get is great. With the dragon reveal, we finally get an explanation for who that hooded figure was in Logtown. I thought that was really clever writing and demonstrated just how well thought out the Logtown arc is. It was an arc that was already really special, but this just adds to it. We also get taken away from the Straw Hats for a bit and get to see Shanks doing literally insane shit. He can knock people out with just his presence? What the hell? His conversation with Whitebeard about Blackbeard is intriguing, and it gave me just enough as an invested fan to keep my speculation running rampant, while still not really giving me any concrete answers about anything, which I've come to expect at this point. Still, all the setup was really cool, and I dug it. Now it's party time! I love me some Straw Hat parties. I feel like I say this in every video, and I hope to say it in every upcoming video. I live for these ridiculous parties, and if they don't happen, then there's no joy left in my life. This one in particular gave me serious Arlong Park party vibes. Maybe it was Usopp on the table singing. However, it ain't all fun and games. Aokiji snuck over and has a talk with Robin through a wall. This conversation, where Aokiji is serving as this estranged father figure of sorts, solidified to me that Aokiji isn't a bad guy. He may work for the world government, but he isn't the agent of dark justice that Spandam and Lucci are. So obviously, the world government as a whole is going to be a lot more nuanced than the evil bad guys, and I look forward to seeing that nuance really coming into play down the line. However, I think this particular conversation with Aokiji and Robin really allowed the viewer to more fully understand Aokiji, and it was a touching development in his and Robin's relationship, which is what kicked off the drama of the saga way back at Long Ring Long Land. After this party, the Straw Hats all finally get their own bounties, and I think the jokes are perfect. Cotton Candy Lover Chopper and Sanji's horribly sketched illustration. Now, if you thought this arc couldn't possibly squeeze any more drama out of these characters, you're a damn idiot. Specifically you. Frankie gets a really emotional send-off in this arc before joining the Straw Hats. He resists his urge and everyone pushing him to join the crew until they all destroy half the town trying to get his bare butt and balls on the new ship. He has a touching moment with Iceberg encouraging him to go, but honestly, the most emotional I got was when Frankie was saying goodbye to his underlings. His relationship with the Frankie family is so sweet. It's just the story of a guy who took in people who needed it and paraded around like a criminal gang while really only attacking pirates. It's the story of a villain who is loved by his goons because he was actually a decent guy and they want what's best for him. I think that Frankie's emotional goodbye manages to balance humor and sentimentality really well, but the reveal that Robin only squeezed his balls the one time, and that he's been faking the pain so that he can have an excuse to keep crying instead of people thinking it's from his emotions, is perfect characterization for him. It's also a great touch that when Luffy noticed that Robin wasn't doing anything, Robin had her back turned, showing that subtly she was helping Frankie maintain his ruse to the onlookers. I hope Frankie and Robin have some kind of close sibling-esque friendship after this arc because of how tied in their pasts are. This could be a hint of that. The emotions aren't done flowing yet. We still have one loose end with everyone's favorite long-nosed pirate. We see that Usopp is preparing lines for rejoining the crew, and they all revolve around what a favor he'd be doing them to rejoin, and I thought that was nauseating. I get it, Usopp's the comedic relief who puts on a cool front, but this felt so out of character for him. It felt too dickish after everything they just went through. I still don't even get why he put the Soja King outfit back on after revealing himself to Luffy on Enies Lobby, but whatever. Meanwhile, Zoro puts his foot down, stating that if Usopp doesn't apologize, then he's not allowed back on the crew, or Zoro is walking away. Good. This man is making sense, and I respect what a hard line he takes on this issue. So, when Garp returns to capture the Straw Hats, they have to disembark without Usopp. It's here that we get a nice dragged out scene of Usopp burning through all his bullshit lines and Luffy pretending not to hear them until Usopp finally apologizes for his actions. Then he's dragged onto the ship and embraced by Luffy. Hell yeah. Fucking finally, the crew is back together and they shoot off into the sky, escaping Garp's cannonball barrage. Before heading into the last little bit here, I also want to say that the Thousand Sunny looks dope. I haven't seen too much of it. I think the head looks a little weird, but I'm sure that will grow on me. Either way, I'm really excited about the new ship. I think the lawn on the deck is a really cool touch, and all the knickknacks and doohickeys around the ship with Frankie there to continue upgrading leaves limitless possibilities on the table. All in all, I'll miss the Mary, but the Sunny seems like a worthwhile upgrade as the crew continues to grow. Now onto the last bit of plot I want to cover in this video. What I assume is a tease for the next saga, or more likely the saga after that. I'm starting to understand the pacing of this series. I learned to stop holding my breath a long time ago. Ace's fight with Blackbeard. There isn't too much to say about this, as it really serves to set up Blackbeard as a formidable fighter, which is interesting because Shanks and Whitebeard's conversation also focused around Blackbeard, so this guy is getting hyped up. It was an overall badass fight, and I love Ace as a character, but it was intriguing to see someone with his abilities get kinda fucked up. Blackbeard's powers, the thing we were told he was searching for his entire time serving under Whitebeard, and what drove his decision to join that crew in the first place, do make him extremely powerful. At first, his powers just kinda seemed whatever, but the reveal he can steal devil fruit powers from people is crazy, and also his own power is focused a lot around gravity, which I think makes him extremely versatile. Obviously, Luffy's gonna fight this guy one day, but after this display of power, I can see Luffy, and honestly anyone, having a really tough time. So this little episode did its job of getting me hyped to see that inevitable conflict happen. And with that, we bring the Water 7 saga to a close. It was a glorious ride, but I think that the Post-Enies Lobby arc does something a bit more clever than just serve as an epilogue to the plot of this saga. Instead, it really serves to set up the future of the show. There are easily 3 or 4 major plot points that are introduced in this short story that have no bearing on the immediate future of the show, I'd imagine. I can't see Shanks or Ace or Garp or Kobe really having anything to do with the Florian Triangle, but I can very much see all of those characters impacting events past that in very dramatic ways. I really have no clue how they will, but obviously the pieces on the chessboard are moving to set something up. Oh, and fucking Dragon too. Duh, how could I forget him? He's probably gonna have the largest impact if I had to guess. There is so much new information presented in this arc for the viewer to mull over and chew on, and it was obviously by design. I think that the Water 7 saga marks the completion of the first phase of One Piece, if you allow me to use contrived MCU terminology. I really have no evidence for that, but something about Enies Lobby in particular really felt like a culmination of so many plot points that have been built up for so long, and Post-Enies Lobby really felt like this story was saying, okay, all of that is resolved, but there's still all of this. I know there's a time skip at some point. I'm not entirely disconnected from the plot progression, so I assume other people have tried to break One Piece down into sections or chapters or whatever, but I think the Post-Enies Lobby arc acts as the perfect bridge between phases. It simultaneously ties up loose ends from the Water 7 saga, while also setting into motion much larger plot points that will span God only knows how far into the future. That is why I really appreciate this arc, and why I felt it deserved its own video. Now I enter the conclusion portion of this video, where I've damn near run out of smooth segues. Firstly, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and any video my dumb little hands and voice can manage to construct. I really appreciate it, and honestly, I appreciate how civil and kind most of you are in the comments too. Some of you are far too nice to me, and I don't know how to take that, so my natural response is suspicion. Just know that I appreciate you all, but also, I'm watching you fuckers like a hawk. Secondly, I promised a channel update, and it's nothing too major. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be covering One Piece a lot more frequently. This channel was never meant to be a One Piece or even anime channel. I actually started uploading reaction videos to bad movies here with my friends, and I kinda stumbled into this during the existential anxiety of the pandemic. However, people seem to like my One Piece content the most on this channel, and I'm more than happy to keep talking about it, and hopefully, I convert some of you to enjoying the other essay-like videos I'm going to continue to make. So, my initial One Piece coverage was once every 2 months, then it was once a month, and now I'm aiming to release a new One Piece video every 2 weeks. My next video will be a ranking of all the One Piece arcs so far, and after that I'll be heading into Thriller Bark. I had to find a way to push the horror story into October. Also, instead of focusing on the larger sagas, I'm gonna go story arc by story arc. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. Many of you have made it clear to me that the sagas get much longer as the story progresses, so for logistical purposes, beginning to split things out by arc makes sense. The second reason is that I selfishly want to boogie through this series as quickly as possible, so making videos by arc rather than saga allows me to move at a more comfortable pace. I hope this change is a positive one, and you don't all begin to feel I'm just spamming One Piece content at you. I'm just really happy with the series, and I'm extremely excited to see where things go next with Thriller Bark. Thank you again so much for watching this. Please take care of yourselves. I hope you'll all stick with me on this insane anime odyssey, but until the next one, I'll shut up.